first human brain implant malfunctioned, Neuralink says. Yeah, so it's been like 50 years at least since, well, probably close to 100 actually, since the first idea of like human and computer direct integration was imagined. Sometime in the 20th century, probably mid-20th century, that was imagined. And since then, it's been a constant worry, and with good reason as well. And now we've got to the point where it's like there's been experiments. There's been like the beginnings of this. We've been able to control things with minds in a basic way using like out of head like electrodes for years. That's actually been possible since like the early 2000s. I think maybe the 90s. But it's progressed since then, and technology's got better. And now you actually have brain implants. And this is concerning to people for very understandable reasons. It's concerning to me as well. Now, I think, should we be running the experiment on one person, at least at first, who is willing to volunteer for it? Sure, but I'm still very apprehensive. But then it failed, and I'm now even more apprehensive. Depending on exactly how it failed. Let's have a look. Look, the science side of this is very interesting to me. The social, political side of it is very concerning. So let's continue watching. But this is the kind of thing where in a healthy society, if we were able to maintain a healthy society for the next 50 years, I wouldn't be too worried about this. It's the unhealthiness, it's the possibility for tyranny and for the current tyrants to gain more power, potentially using the result of this research that is concerning. Quite aside from the real concern with all this stuff, the real concern with computers that do things like human brains or with human brains, the real concern is a slow, imperceptible change over generations. That's the real worry. It's not so much the dystopian idea of your brain can just be turned off and you can just be Cybermanned away to go and kill yourself if you say the wrong thing to the government. No, it's more that our species will fundamentally change in a way that we can never recover from, in a way that starts to leave the protective arms of evolution's selection process once we start doing things like this. And that is very concerning. But let's read on and see what actually happened. The first Neuralink implant in a human malfunctioned after several threads recording neural activity retracted from the brain, and Elon Musk-owned startup revealed Wednesday. The threads retracted in the weeks following the surgery in late January that placed the Neuralink hardware in 29-year-old Noland Arbor's brain, the company said in a blog post. This reduced the number of effective electrodes and the ability of Arbor, a quadriplegic, to control a computer cursor with his brain. In response to this change, we modified the recording algorithm to be more sensitive to neural population signals, improved the techniques to translate these signals into cursor movements, and enhanced the user interface. So you fixed it in software, right? That's not really a fix, is it? Neuralinks. If this was okay, why didn't you just do this in the first place? So it's not okay. So you increase the signal, but you increase the signal, like the amplitude, which probably also increased the noise, decreasing the resolution. So it is worse. You've not fixed it. You've helped him to persist, to survive, but you have not actually fixed it. The company said the adjustments resulted in a rapid and sustained improvement in bits per second, a measure of speed and accuracy of cursor control, surpassing Arbor's initial performance. Yeah, that's not a fix, guys. You've just increased the noise. Now, bits per second being the measurement means that you're measuring all the throughput, signal and noise. But that's not a good measurement if you're concerned with signal, which you clearly and obviously are. Like, you're trying to make it do something, therefore you care about signal. If you're trying to measure the brain, there's going to be a lot of noise, and simply increasing the sensitivity will only increase the noise. Well, it will also increase the signal, obviously, but it makes it harder to detect it. Like audio. If I move my mic further away from me, as I could do, but won't because I'm using it, then you'd still be able to hear me, because I have software that automatically amplifies it. So if I'm talking a bit quietly like this, it should sort of amplify it so that it's at least close to the same volume as when I'm talking more loudly like this. I've got software that does that. So if I move the mic further away, it'll still sound just as loud, but there'll be just a little bit more static. Now, my static removal software will still remove it, so you won't be able to tell. But you might hear a little bit more room noise, a little bit more echo, because I'm a little, further away from the mic, a little bit of a inverse square law effect there, where more room noise hits it, or relative to my voice hitting it directly. So you'd still have more noise to signal, and that's almost certainly what's happened here. They've just increased the volume. While the problem doesn't appear to pose a risk to Arbor's safety, Neuralink reportedly floated the idea of removing his implant, according to the Wall Street Journal. So I do wonder why the thread's retracted. It doesn't sound like something that like electrical cables would do, unless, okay, think of it this way. If they're retracting consistently, I don't think like human electrical wires would do that unless they're being pushed. They wouldn't do that just because they happen to be in a state where they retract. No, I think they're probably being pushed. Probably what they did is they carved little like drains or little like channels into the brain to push these electrodes, these wires, and they assumed, okay, I hope that therefore it'll heal around the wire, and then the wire will stay there. But what actually happened is that it healed and pushed the wire out. That's probably what it was. It sounds like what it was. Yes, Wes, kind of like the very reliable camera background removal software, which is not that good. Not that good, but it's better than not using one at all. The company has also told the FDA that it believes it has a solution for the issue that occurred with the Arbor's implant, the journal reported. The implant was placed just more than 100 days ago. In the blog post, the company touted Arbor's ability to play online computer games, browse the internet, live stream, and use other applications, all by controlling a cursor with his mind. It's very cool. If any of you have trouble believing that it's real, no, it's very real. As I said earlier, for years we've been able to just like glue some electrodes to people's heads, take some calibrating readings, and then you can tell when they're thinking left or right, and you can use that to control things. We've been able to do that for like 20 years. So yeah, the brain is not inscrutable to technology, and you can do brain implants as well. That's part of the reason that I think that the brain, everything the brain does is purely physical and replicable, therefore, by computers, which is not necessarily the nicer perspective, but I do believe it's the true one.